Hello and welcome to the Biz Kidz Podcast. I'm JD Rivali, your host, and today I am in Orlando, Florida, on location at a conference, and the Airbnb that we're staying in has the Mickey and Minnie room. So if you are watching us on camera, you see Mickey and Minnie in the back. That's why they're there. It's kind of a weird way to start off an episode, but I wanted to explain why Mickey and Minnie are in the shot. Today is a little bit different. We're not going to have a co-host on to kind of help me with the interview, but we want to talk to one of the moms that has been involved with her daughter in doing the Biz Kidz program, and hopefully she can draw some insight of how the program works, some of the things that worked for them, some of the things that didn't work for them, and get a better idea. So, today we have Angie See. Angie, as we always like to do, we like to start off with a 60-second introduction. Tell us who you are and what you do.
Thanks for having me today, JD. So, like you said, my name is Angie See. I'm a mother of 3 children. I have 2 in college and a 13-year-old now. I have been a stay-at-home mom for 15 years, but I did recently, and we'll get into that with the interview, start up my own business. So I am an entrepreneur, but I've been a stay-at-home mom as well, so I cover a little bit of both grounds here, but I really enjoy being a mom first.
And that's great. When your daughter decided to get into this and try Biz Kidz, I think it was a great opportunity for you guys both to kind of work together on something. That's the one thing that we hear from a lot of moms right off the bat is, I don't know how to start a business. I don't know how to coach my kids on how to do a business. And so what do you think was one of the things that kind of brought you guys together on an idea? And what parents always want to know is, like, how did you come up with the idea? So before we go into that, tell us what your and your daughter's idea was and what you were selling.
Sure. When we first started, Positive Packages is her business. She had gone through and listed maybe 3 to 5 things of her favorite loves that she enjoys. And one of the 5 things were pets. And what we came up with was a box that was called Positive Packages. It had a fleece crepe blanket, 2 bandanas that were homemade. Everything's homemade by her, of course, because it's kids biz. 2 dog toys, training treats, and dog paw lotion. So that was her business that we came up with. And like you said, it was really a relationship. She was 9 at the time, and she was just starting to come into her own. And it really built a ton of confidence in her as a 9-year-old. And now she's 13 and she wants to get back in and do another business. So this is great.
And once we see a student get involved in this and they do their first one, it's always a little overwhelming. And so it can be scary because you're setting up this booth at this event and you get to sell your product. And everybody wants to come up and talk to you. And if you're shy, that can be a little overwhelming. Mm-hmm. But we try to make it, it's a fun process as possible. So the kids kind of feel comfortable after a while talking to people. And a lot of our mentors will go around before even a show starts. So the kids actually get to practice talking about their product. And that way they're, by the time they've done this for a couple hours, now it's like, okay, now I get what's going on. And so that confidence builds up, but it also, the fear of talking to people goes away. Did you see that in Kaylee?
Yes, she really struggled when the coaches came around at first. And she also struggled with the actual presentation. We went to a lot of the mentoring sessions that you provide, JD, and then met the business coaches there and the mentors. And then as a 9-year-old, she would try, speaking to the adults, and just watching her grow over that whole year of having Positive Packages was really, truly just an amazing adventure as a mom and daughter, watching her kind of blossom into her own. Speaking to the actual judges was the biggest one. It was a big hurdle for her to jump over. And then, of course, the presentations and then the one-on-ones. It was great for her to watch peer-to-peer as she would sell at markets and things like that. So, yes.
And so at our Biz Kidz Expos, kids get to pitch their idea to the judges so they get that confidence of actually selling to themselves. But they also get judged by the people that are there. So we call it our People's Choice Award. Everybody goes around and votes for their favorite booth. And Kylie, is it Kylie, not Kaylee, right?
Yeah.
Kylie, I want to make sure I got that right. Kylie won the People's Choice Award and won $500 for that because everybody that came through loved her idea and they voted for hers. And so she got that award. Positive Packages. First of all, I think you have to spell it out for people so that they understand.
Okay. Positive, Paws.
Just like a dog.
Yes, Positive, Pawsitive packages. Yes.
And in those packages, what did you guys decide? You had different sizes to kind of start off with. Like a lot of times kids, when they get into this, they go, oh, hey, I'm going to create one product and sell one product. I love the fact that you guys came up with 3 different products, then you had a small, medium, and large version so the kids could people actually had an option and a choice. How did you guys come up with that idea?
So we did a lot of research for sure online. What is the sizes of the small, like 0 to 12 pounds, and then 12 to 18, and then 18 plus was pretty much what we researched. And then we actually did the dimensions on the bandanas according to what online was saying. So a lot of it was just research on her part and then learning how to cut out. We were not sewers at the time, and we learned how to do bandanas. She actually took up and we bought a sewing machine with some of her winnings from the People's Choice Award, as well as just cooking and sewing were the 2 things that she honed in on for Positive Packages. So it was nice researching that with her.
And did she do most of it on her own, or were you there kind of by her side, making sure that things were happening a certain way?
It's a bond. It really did help us bond. There were so many things I wrote down, so many positive things that it taught her, but the bonding aspect, we worked together hand in hand. I did make her do most of the work, and some days it was harder. It was a lesson for her to learn. X, Y, and Z equals profit. But she put her heart into it. And like I said, the hardest part for her was interacting with other people and gaining confidence. But I did help a lot, but out behind the scenes for sure.
So I'm going to do a show. We talked to a lot of the parents and we spent a lot of time in the booths while people were walking in and out. And I had one mom tell me she had 3 daughters that they all had multiple products that they had done. And she goes, don't tell the girls this, but she goes, I love that they're doing this because they're doing it with me. And she was so excited that the girls were excited about making some money, but she was able to spend her weeks and her weekends hanging out with her girls doing something. And, a lot of they're teenage girls. So when they get to that age, they sometimes don't want to hang out with mom and dad, and they would rather be doing something else, but they were excited about making money. And they were hanging out with her. And so she was extremely excited about that. I found that with my own daughter. Like, we used to do home and garden shows for our business. And my daughter would come to all the shows with me and work in the booth with me. And I got to hang out with her all day. So even though I was at an event for 8 hours, I at least got to hang out with my daughter, and we got to talk and we got to do fun things. And so the bonding experience that you have with your kids when building a business, even if it's just a side hustle and something you do on the weekends, it's extra time that you get to spend with them, and it goes fast. My daughter's 22 now, moved out, and so I'm glad I had those times with her and excited that we built that bond at those shows.
Absolutely. I 100% agree.
Now, as you guys were going through this journey, and I know you guys probably dealt with a lot of other school activities or after school activities you were going on with, how did you guys juggle that? And I hear this all the time is we want to do a show, we want to sell our product at a Saturday, but we have football that day, or we have dance, or we have karate. And how did you guys juggle that schedule issue?
So we really set aside like Monday and Thursday nights, we're going to work on product production. So it was challenging because she was in volleyball. She was in a Christian school at the time. We weren't homeschooling quite at the time, but I do homeschool as well now. So there was a lot of interactive festivals and things that were happening at her school that we have. And then the obviously volleyball games. So I think just time management was another thing that was helpful to teach her. Hey, I'm gonna put forth the effort to go to this Biz Kidz event on Saturday, and I'm not gonna put my effort into volleyball. Just the time management for her was really important. So like Monday and Thursdays were our nights to do product making and make sure everything was ready for a Saturday event. Just more time planning.
And I get that. Like I said, we get it from the parents all the time. It's like, how do I juggle that schedule to add something else? I'm money motivated. And so maybe if you're a mom that's money motivated, you make good money. Our average kid sells $275 worth of product at an event.
Yep.
Our over average kids are making anywhere from $700 to $1,000 at an event. And so the way I look at it when I try to sell the Biz Kidz events is you could be paying somebody to take your kid and play a sport with them all weekend versus doing our event. You're actually making money, and it's going back into your pocket, and you're covering all your expenses, and you're building this bond with your child where you get to have that one-on-one time with them. So it's kind of, I know we don't, I'm not saying that other activities are completely out. You want to have your kids have that balance, but in our events, they're making money and and they have cash in their pocket at the end of the day and they're excited about it. And now they have something that they earned and grew themselves of their own initiative.
Yes.
Now, for you, I know you kind of got bit by the entrepreneur bug during this process too. So tell us what happened after your daughter said, okay, I got to concentrate on some other school activities, and she kind of stopped doing the Biz Kidz.
Yes.
What happened?
Well, actually, it was during that whole year of watching her blossom. I had been a stay-at-home mom for 15 years and just watching her grow and change and become her own in that process. She was purchasing, negotiating, saving, observing, competing, dealing with peer pressure, and even having the adult one-on-ones. So here I was watching my 9-year-old do all these amazing achievements. And my oldest daughter was going to be getting married at the time. And my husband and I were like, we have to come up with some money for this wedding. And I love flowers. We had owned a flower shop 15 years prior to children. And I found one for sale. And I saw through Kylie, my 9-year-old, because I'm horrible at public speaking and I'm giving presentations, and then also the entrepreneurial aspect of all the things that I just mentioned, purchasing, negotiating. I gained the confidence literally from watching my 9-year-old daughter grow that whole year. And after that year was finished, we actually bought our flower shop here in Bonita Springs. And I ran it for an entire year and then sold it for double the profit. I paid for my oldest daughter's wedding, and it all came from inspiration from the Biz Kidz. So it was a humongous plus for us, and just so thankful for JD and what he's done with these children.
That's awesome. Like, just to hear the story that it motivated you to go out there and do something. You knew the business, you'd done it before, but 15 years ago, and now you're like, yeah, this is great. I can go ahead and do this again. I think that's just an incredible story that, that you were able to do that. And to be able to build something for a year and then already have a buyer ready to go, that's amazing. So what's next for you? Like, what do you want to, are you looking at other business ideas? And during that time, didn't you also have an Airbnb that you were managing and running?
Yes, that was kind of my thing as a mom that I did, and I really enjoyed that. So we literally just last Sunday purchased another home in Louisville as like a side thing where we're going to rent to college students and then have a place in the basement where I'm becoming a landlord. It's basically our next move. I've already been interviewing 6 college girls to get just the right fit in the home that we've bought. And so that's kind of the next business adventure that I have personally. And then John and I are together as a team on that. So, but I do also love helping the Grow Business Network. I'm kind of behind the scenes. I do a lot of supporting my husband through that as well. So I really enjoy those 2 business adventures that I'm doing.
So can I put in my 2 cents on that business idea?
Yes.
So what I would look at, instead of looking at renting it to college students, and college students need a place, but college students don't care about your place. Look at first-year teachers that are moving to the area that need a place to live together. They have the income, they have to be there, and they're generally more responsible because it's their first job into a university or a college. And you get 2 or 3 of the ladies to rent it together, and then they're sharing that cost, which makes it a lot more affordable for them to make that move.
Great idea, JD.
That way, you're not putting all the responsibility on some kids and then having to go in and do a bunch of cleanup at the end of the school year because they don't care if they have a party and a hole gets in the wall or anything like that. So
good point.
just something to think about. We've done some renting in our history, and the students that are the teachers that are first year and second year teachers, the salaries are lower and rents are high. So giving them the opportunity, and they love that. The fact that somebody's there to help them.
Thank you for that advice. I love it.
That was just a freebie.
Well, good. That's great.
Now, has Kylie showed any other interest in looking at other businesses from this point, or is she kind of on the new ventures?
So she's 13. We started homeschooling this last August as she went into middle school, and she saw the Biz Kidz on my social media, and she was like, Mom, the bug has really bit her again. So she's kind of in the planning stages. We asked her to write down, just to challenge her a bit, because she's now 13, to write down 40 of her favorite things And then let that springboard into, wow, I could do this avenue. I could do this. It just is going to give her it's kind of like when you write down just a bunch of things on a piece of paper and it gives the creative juices running to come up with something different. Although she could go back to positive packages as well. It was a lot because it was like 7 things. And so we're just brainstorming at this point, but she has definitely got the bug to rejoin Biz Kidz as a 13-year-old and do something new.
Yeah, most of our students that start off with us, the product that they start with is never the product that they, finish the program with. It always evolves and changes because you need to find out, what is selling good? What is my top sellers? And kind of focus on those instead of doing all these little things that may not be generating the revenue that you need to make the profits that you want. You kind of narrow that down to say, okay, hey, the dog blankets sold really well, or hey, the dog treats sold really well. So we're going to actually go all in on dog treats this time. And that gives you some options to go that way. I had a young lady that, Casey, she was in episode 2. She started off with bracelets, and she did polymer clay bracelets and found out that it takes a long time to make a bracelet. And so she got into baking, and she could do a lot more in baking and have a lot more product without having to spend hours and hours making every little bracelet. And it took off for her. So if you haven't had a chance to listen to episode 2, you can hear all of Casey's story. And she's gone on to go into college, and she has a full LLC now. Doing baked goods for people. So corporate events as well.
I did want to mention, I forgot to tell you, when she was working with the business mentors, there was one, her name is Christina Cohen. She's a doll, and she has websites and things in her business that she does. And she connected so well with Kylie, my daughter, as a 9-year-old, that she donated an entire $2,500 positive package website to my daughter. So sometimes those connections, that was a gold mine for her at the time. And I'm just working with a business owner as a 9-year-old was a true gem to find in that mentorship.
And I find that stories a lot. We don't always hear all those stories, but I've had printers that said, hey, I'll provide you guys your tablecloths and your business cards. They just give them to them for free. Just because they love the fact that these kids are out doing something and trying to start a business, and they want to encourage them. I even have kids that have told me these people didn't want to buy my product, but they gave me a $20 tip. So they're just happy. And I think one of the best comments that we get, and we get it all the time, is when people walk through our shows, they go, these kids aren't on their phone. They're actually engaged with the clients and their customers, talking to them, looking at them in the eye, and they just love the fact that these kids are engaged in selling their products and not sitting in the back of their booth on their phone, ignoring everybody that walks by.
Exactly. And that was the big thing at your events, that the kids that were sitting in the back they didn't make a profit. But Kylie would come away with $700,000 every event you did, JD. It was amazing because she was out there. She wanted to get there first, to get the first space that you offered. It was really important to her. She became very competitive. So it was good.
And the beginning of the show is always competitive. Everybody wants that favorite spot. I don't sell premium spots. I just hey, whoever gets here first. And the cool thing about, when you do find these kids that are motivated, I noticed that they get their parents there. Usually it's not the kids that are the ones that are late. It's usually the parents that are running behind in the morning. They got other things they have to do. And the kids are pushing them hey, I need to be there to have this spot.
Yes.
For the 4 years that we've been running this program, especially when we do the expo, I have never had a kid show up late. And I told them, if you do show up late, you're graded on that because the judges are going to take that into account. If you're in business and your doors aren't open, you're not making money. And as an entrepreneur and a self-business owner, you have to motivate yourself. You're not waiting for somebody to tell you, hey, get in the car, we got to go. It's your responsibility to say, hey, I got to be there, let's go.
Yes.
And so they have to take that responsibility on early in their development to figure out, hey, this is what I need to do.
Yes. And another inspirational point on Kylie inspiring me, when I had to get up in front of 180 people at a networking group event or present an award for Bonita Bloom's florist, I remembered how hard it was for her to talk to 3 adult judges as a 9-year-old. And I thought to myself, if Kylie can do this, so can I. So that's important.
That's a great motivation. It's kind of crazy to think, hey, I got this motivation from my own daughter.
Yep.
At 9 years old. And, you thought, you were the parent and now you're like learning from your kids. You're going, wow, what have I been doing? This is awesome. So, um, as you were saying, for the future, there's been some other ideas she has come up with that she want to stay in the dog product market?
Well, she does. So we're trying to make that decision. Like, are we just going to continue to kind of follow, like what you said, maybe hone in on one or two of the products, or do something totally different? We're not quite sure. She's not quite there yet, but she's still working on 40 of her favorite things and ideas. And every time we were having a car ride, my husband and I, where we were trying to encourage that and get the creative juices running. And she was kind of being negative that one day. Like, we would say something and, no, that would never work. No, that would never work. And so it was just good for her to remember, I've got to be positive about everything and not shut the door on any idea that mom and dad might say, or that I might have. In her own mind, she might cut herself down and think, no, but just write them out on paper so that you can kind of see where your mind is at and go creative from there, if that makes sense. So we're not quite where she's going. That's what I'm saying.
And one of the tools that I encourage kids to actually try, I know AI is kind of some people are a little leery of it, but ChatGPT, right in there, give me 40 ideas of how to start a kid business. And it'll give you some ideas that you might not even think about. And you go, oh, hey, that one. Yeah. And then you can start exploring the ones that you pick out your top 5 or your top 10. And then you start exploring those are a good possibility. It's just a great way to brainstorm and have AI help you brainstorm to kind of get the ball rolling. Because sometimes we can get stuck. You have the list in front of you and you're writing the first 5 and you're like, I can't think of anything else. And then you just ask ChatGPT and all of a sudden now you have 40 right in front of you. You're like, oh, I never thought about that. That's a good one.
Right. And I'm sorry.
No, that's good.
Like the 2 boys they won the first place award. They were science geeks. They just loved science and they didn't know how to put that into a business. And they got boxes around their house and they put together these kits of science projects. I believe that's what they did.
Yeah.
It was brilliant and they loved it. That was what sold their product, is that they were just so excited to talk about science with kids and then share what they had put together in the kits. I thought that was brilliant.
And we also put together pitch competitions now for kids to actually pitch their idea on a video, and we submit those to you, or we put them on our YouTube channel, so you parents can get ideas and kids can get ideas of different businesses. So if you go to Biz Kidz USA on YouTube, you can watch some of the pitch competition videos and see what kids are doing to get some ideas from them as well. And they pitch it. So you get to see how they pitch it and what they're doing. Everything from gummy bears to dog leashes to slime. There's just a ton of different ideas out there that kids are making money on. And so if you're interested in finding a way to get your kids involved, follow us at the bizkidzusa.org. That's our website. You can find out about how to get involved in the Biz Kidz Hub, which is our training center. You can also find out what our events are. Our events are mainly in Southwest Florida, but we do have a couple of areas around the country that do events every once in a while. So if you're interested in getting connected with us, we'd love to have you. Angie, I appreciate you being here today. One thing I was going to tell you is at the expo, I'm standing outside by the door, and this guy comes out with 2 boxes, positive package boxes under his arm. And he says, I don't even have a dog. And he's actually bought the packages. So I thought that was pretty cool that she sold the fact that this has value. And he goes, I'm sure I can find somebody to give him as gifts. And so he bought 2. He was so impressed and walked out the door. I don't even own a dog. So that was awesome.
Great.
But
That's great.
Thank you for being here. Do you have any last words? What last words of advice to other moms would you give?
I think don't ever shut the door on your children's creativity. Kind of keep the positive vibes flowing with them and just let it flow for them. Like, keep pushing them to think outside the box, because truly they could end up on a Shark Tank type situation, like Post-it note girl, or just these $1 million ideas could come from our children. And as a mom, we really don't want to stifle that and shut down their creative minds, because they really are treasures and they just come up with things you would never think of. So just keep an open mind.
And I think that's great advice, because a lot of times I think as parents, we don't want our kids to get hurt and we don't want them to fail. And we don't want them to be embarrassed. but it's a lot easier to have those failures as a kid on something that you made for a little show that's not going to be that significant. Let them have those failures now and learn those lessons before they get into college and into adulthood and they go to start a business and they take out a bank loan of $100,000 and then realize, I don't know the basics. What am I doing? And now they're in debt $100,000 or more. Let them have the little mistakes while they're doing something small. Let them fail. That's the most important part, is let your kids fail, because they're going to learn from it. And what we do is we celebrate that with them. Like, hey, it didn't work out. That's okay. This is great. This is a process of figuring out what works and what doesn't work. And when we fail, we're there celebrating with them and encouraging them. Okay, let's figure out why. Was it the product? Was it the price? What was it that made that you didn't have the sales? Were you sitting in your booth and not talking to people with your back towards them? Whatever it may be. And so that's what I always encourage, is let your kids fail and you'll just give them opportunity. So Thank you, Angie, for being here. We're excited for the next chapter for both you and Kylie. And we'll be happy to see you guys at another event and selling your new product.
Yes. Thank you for having me.
Thanks again for joining us at the Biz Kidz Podcast. If you want more information, bizkidsusa.org. We will see you guys next time.